Hey, welcome to Woodturning. Today we're going to make a really neat project. We're going to make ourselves a dead blow mallet. We're going to be using a brass T-pipe that's 3/4 of an inch, a little bit of purple heart that's about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, some BBs, and then over here this beautiful piece of cocobolo, which I'm getting ready to cut to 11 inches.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood-turning tools. Made by a woodturner for woodturners.
Well, we've mounted our cocobolo between centers and we rounded it out. Didn't want to bore you with that. What I'm doing right now is I'm starting to make a tenon, because what we want to do is we want to get the diameter so we can make a tenon to go inside of there. But it's got to be a little bit wider than that so we can cut threads. So this fits in just right. Now, see, it's not going all the way in. Well, that's the interesting thing about water pipe. It tapers in. So these threads are wider, and then as the threads go in, it gets to be tighter and tighter. That's how they get the waterproof seal that they get. So this is why we want ours to fit in a little bit, and then we can start getting the threads going. So let's just take this down and get our diameter, and once we make that tenon, then we'll start making the threads. And wow, we're really close right there. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to just take this back about 1/2 inch now. Just ride the tool on the wood, the bevel rides, and then you tilt the handle up to make the cut. Okay, that's about right. So anyway, the way I'm going to put the threads on here is I'm going to chase them. But I want to test my fit real quick. Let's do it like so. Let's see how this goes in. Okay, yeah, it's going to grab there. So when I start doing threads, we're going to be good. So what I'm going to do is hand chase them. And in order to do that, I actually had to make my own hand-threaded tools. And these are really cool. This is made by Sorby, and they make really nice hand-chased threads. You can kind of see the little lines and little teeth on it. Well, this is for 20 threads per inch. The water pipe is 14, so I actually had to make my own, and I'll show you how I did that. So when you want to make your own threading jig, go cheap. I went to a discount store to buy these, 15 bucks for all these tools. And that's because they're regular speed steel. They're not high speed steel like Thompson tools. Those are pricey because the metal takes a lot more to make. These are cheap. You have to sharpen them forever if you want to use them for wood turning. I mean, you cut, sharpen. It's not fun at all. But what I like about it is it's real easy to take these and grind them down, and we're going to repurpose this to become our threading jig. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to flatten this out. Okay, you can see I have a profile on here now. So it's narrow in the front. I've got an edge on here, so it's only about 1/8 of an inch long. But what I want to do now, this is my cheap gauge. So we have threads in there, and I just got this little piece of wood, and it's softwood. So I'm just going to rub it really, really hard in the threads. And now you can see I've transferred the threads over, right? Okay, well, all that we're going to do now is I'm going to take these up here, like so, and just very carefully try to mark out where those teeth are. So now, the next thing, we're going to have a little bit of fun. Let me get my Dremel over here. On my Dremel, I have a cutoff wheel, which is meant for cutting steel. We'll power this up, and then we'll get to cutting. Now, one word of caution, don't do this with a lot of shavings on the floor in your shop. You'll probably start a fire. Don't ask me how I know. Now, this won't be perfect, but it should work. Okay, we're back at the lathe, and I want to show you I made a little bit of a cut in there, because when we're making our threads, the tool has to go somewhere. And then I also have a little bit of a chamfer here, so it's going to give us a place to start our threads. So we're going to turn the lathe on and turn it way down, and I mean to maybe about 25, 50 RPM. It's going to be really, really slow. So what we're going to do is just start here. We're just going to start a little movement like so. You can hear the teeth engaging. And they start making the cut. Keep going. We're running it now, and you're getting the formation of some threads now. So we're going to slowly come straight. And we let the tool just run in the grooves it's making. And we keep doing this until we establish our threads. Pretty simple. And you can see how that little exit spot gives us a place to go out on the left with the tool, so we don't wind up hitting the side and stopping. We have time to pull it out. So here we go. We'll just keep doing this so I get the threads formed, and then we'll see how they fit in our pipe. Well, I'm not going to win any awards for these threads, but let's see how well it works. So, got a little squeak in there. Good. That was nice and tight. So that was good. We succeeded in cutting our own threads. So, that is neat. I like doing that because thread chasing is really fun. You can make a lot of neat boxes and other projects with it that way. So we're going to mount this back on here. We're going to turn up the speed. And we're going to start making a bead right here as we're shaping our handle. I want to have a little flare on this one. And I need a tool for that. So I'll take my spindle gouge. So we're just going to sneak up as always on the bead. Let's make sure this is flat still. And there we go. Okay, so we'll just start turning our bead a little bit. That's about all I want to do. Do a little pull cut here just to smooth that edge out. Then we'll come in here, finish the bead up, like so. So we got the bead there, so now we'll just start whacking our way down into the handle here and shaping it out. I like the shape of the handle so far, rounding the end off of here. What I wanted to make sure when I made the handle shape was that it's round at this end, narrows here so I have a good place for my thumb. Got the little decoration there for a little something something, right? So let's part this down just a little bit more here. Expose the very bottom of the tool handle. We're not going to worry about this little bit right about here because we're going to cut that off at the bandsaw and sand it. But I want to get rid of as much wood as possible because that part is we're going to sand now. And so sanding procedure with cocobolos, just the same as any other wood, except it has a lot of oil in it. So you want to make sure that you use a sandpaper like Abranet because it has holes in it. So I'll do one pass on this sanding real quick. Let me get my gas mask. Let me get my face mask on. I'll show you real quick. Okay. This stuff gums up quickly. Turn down the speed, turn it on here. There's so much oil in cocobolo that I'll take any sandpaper and instantly clog it. See that? It's even hard right there. So that stops your sandpaper from working. Abranet, you can just take it apart and blow it out with a little air, like so. And now you have most of your sandpaper back. So that's what I like about this. So anyway, I'm going to sand this down to about 300-400 grit, and then we're going to put a really cool finish on. Yeah, which way does this go? That way. Yeah, there we are. Yeah. Okay, I got my weapons for my finish here. We have some paper towel all wadded up. I have my nitrile gloves on for safety, and I have my Starbond thin cyanoacrylate, which is really cool stuff, and I have the accelerator right here also. This is interesting to do. You don't want to do this on a very large project because it's kind of tough. You also want to make sure you have your goggles on and a crappy shirt. My style has always been that way, so you don't get any of this splattered on you. But we're going to liberally apply this on here, and we're going to take this and run it across. Get a little more on here, come back here, try to get everything in there with the glue. I got to get into that little corner there, which is tough. That design is probably a bad idea. So now, that's a thin layer on there, right? Well, we're going to go, that is accelerator. So that takes about, 10-15 seconds max to really dry out. You might actually notice smoke coming off the paper towel because when this stuff is thick, it puts off a lot of heat. So we're going to do this again. Now the whole idea of this is we want to wind up getting, maybe 10-15 coats on here because that'll really gloss this up. And so I will keep applying this over and over and over and see how we go. And it will take a little bit of application, a little bit of spray, a little bit of glue, but this will look beautiful. We'll have probably about 10 coats when we're done. So that is nice and shiny as a baby's butt, whatever that means. Anyway, I'm going to nip this off on the bandsaw, hand sand it just a little bit, and add a little bit of cyanoacrylate to that just to seal it up. So here we go. Now I've already got one of the ends done and show you how it screws in nicely and tight into there. Well, what we're doing though is something a little bit different. You have to think about this. With a standard mallet like this, we make it this way for a reason. We hit things here, right? Well, this is a side grain. So with our blanks, we have to orient them on here with the end grain going sideways like a bowl because we want to hit this end. If you have this end, like a spindle turning, hit that, it'll splinter and shatter. So in order to turn this part, we're going to need to do it with a bowl gouge. So I'm going to rough this out and then we'll get the tenon cut on it and I'll show you how we're going to cut the threads on this one. Okay, we're getting close. So I have this to the shape I want. I have my tenon there to the right shape. There's a little chamfer on the edge, see that little angle? That helps us go into this threading system. And here is the magnificent threading system. This is a piece of 3/4 inch pipe, just like we're using in the T size. You know, it's the same thread and everything. But one thing I did is if you look right down here, I took my file and I cut in a groove. And I did that in 4 spots on here. So those make cutting teeth now. So when I take this and I when I start threading it in, those teeth are going to start cutting threads into the wood. Now, you notice I'm using my lathe as a vise. Robust makes one heck of a lathe, and the pin that keeps this thing from turning is really, really strong, so I have no fear of what I'm doing here. Let me loosen this just a bit. So I'm actually going to bring in an old pipe wrench here, and we're going to tighten this on here. And as we thread this on, we are now making great threads. One little cool thing about the Robust 2 is while you have this locked, if I try to turn my lathe on, it won't turn on. It has an automatic shut off or kill switch in there. So anyway, we get this on here like so that fits great, right? Well, we have threads now that work beautifully. Show you those threads. They're not real deep, but they do what we need. So they're scratched into there pretty good, and so they hold. So what are we going to do? We're going to put this back on, and now we're going to use this to hold the wood to finish turning the end of the mallet. This is going to be one of the cooler ways I've held something on the lathe. Now I'm using the diameter of the pipe to set the diameter of the mallet head there. So I'm just going to come back here and I'm going to shorten this up. Now once I have this all to the shape that I want it, I'm going to go ahead and sand it, and then we're going to apply a finish to it. And it'll probably be an oil type finish because we don't want the super glue finish on this because this is going to get whacked a lot and we don't want a nice finish to go away. The oil will last a lot longer. Okay, starting to put the ends on. We're going to put the BBs in. Just kind of like loading your Red Ranger, Red Ryder BB gun. Just make sure you stay clear of the threads because it won't screw shut. Anyway, by the way, what am I doing with a dead blow mallet? That is a weird name, isn't it? Well, a dead blow mallet is a mallet you use that has a sacrificial head. So when you actually hit something like steel, you don't want to bend it with a metal one, but use wood, which is sacrificial. So if anything is going to give, it's going to be the mallet and not the metal. But anyway, that is how you make a dead blow mallet with a 3/4 inch T-pipe. Pretty cool. So to the next time on wood turning, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Thompson Lathe Tools. Welcome to a new level of professional wood turning tools. Made by a woodturner for woodturners.